Good evening. This is Thursday, July 20th, 2023. It is 6:36, and we are commencing the school committee meeting of the Westport Community Schools. Could I call this meeting to order and all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before I commence the first order of business, I have been notified that there are some members of the press in the audience and that they may also be recording. I've stated this before on comments and statements to the public. We had a lot of folks on an issue that happened over the summer months. This is an opportunity for people in the community and the district that want to make a statement concerning something that's going on in the district. We want to hear from you, but this is not a question and answer session. This is not for feedback. You can't hear me? No. Okay. John, they're not on. How about, is that better now? Can you hear me now? Better? Yes. Okay, sorry. So I'll do that over again because you couldn't hear me. So this is an opportunity for the community and folks that have kids in the district or even don't have kids in the district to come and make comments and statements to the committee about things that are happening in the district that concerns them or that they're happy about. It's usually concerns, and that's fine. This is not an exchange. It's not a question and answer period. It's not a back and forth. That's not the format. The format is for you to have 3 minutes to make that statement to the public, from the public to the committee, and we certainly hear your statements. We read the emails. So with that in mind, I would entertain at this time comments and statements from the public.
Good evening.
Good evening.
comments? Well, thank you for those statements. We appreciate you coming to the meeting and making your position known. We're going to move on to the informal aspect of our agenda, and that would commence with the superintendent's report. Mr. Orban.
Sure. I will say that I'm a bit disappointed that what I had hoped to present to you was phenomenally good news, even in light of the fact that our water pump, which is a pretty complex water pump serving 3 municipal buildings, failed at 6:30 at night on Monday night, the day before school. Within 24 hours, we were able to not only get a new pump installed, but we're able to open up all 3 schools along with the library. It is a credit to our maintenance crew, and just disappointing that I'm going to start with this, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Certainly.
As superintendent, I find our district in the midst of a highly charged national issue regarding choice of curricula for public school systems. Unfortunately, this issue has taken on political overtones with strongly held opinions on both sides of the issue. Unfortunately, individuals are making comments without understanding all of the aspects of the situation. My job as superintendent is to extend meaningful protection to the students, teachers, and the administration. For that reason, I urge everyone to refrain from mischaracterizations or exaggerations and avoid judgment of the actions of all involved by the same standard. At all times, I request, and indeed insist, that our leadership team be guided by the school's legal counsel, which is Murphy, Lamery, and Murphy. They are the best equipped to determine the correct intermingling of legal rights, free speech, and the protections that are due the instructor under these circumstances. Our school district's legal counsel is in consultation with organizations, including the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, with experience in pedagogy and accepted high-quality educational practices, and are best suited to guide our decisions in this case. Ultimately, I will be charged in deciding what, if any, corrections or discipline needs to be made in this case. I will very closely monitor and consider all responsible views and arguments that will be made in this case. That said, throughout my entire 39-year career in teaching and administration, I have been dedicated to the best interest and welfare of our students and families, as well as the staff and school community. This will continue to be my guiding principle in this and all cases going forward. And I rest at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Orban. Any committee members have any questions, any statements?
Just a thank you. Thank you to Mr. Orban for taking the care and due diligence that's needed in this and all instances. Thank you for getting our children back to school. That water pump happened so late at night, and there were emails going back and forth well after I was asleep, and many people in the town, I'm sure, and you and your staff worked incredibly hard to get them back. So thank you, and I really appreciate all that you do and that our staff does.
Thank you. Great team. As you know, we were giving live updates as far as the progress of the repair, because we know that, families have a difficult time with childcare. We understand that. And so we wanted to do updates as quickly as we possibly could in an effort to make sure that the community knew what was going on. So thank you very much.
And I know we've received a lot of comments about the heat in the buildings. Tom, can you just kind of give an overview of what you did? I know that you had sent a notice out last week before the heat wave even came, advising your leadership team to get on board. So maybe you can just kind of touch on that, please.
Sure. The building leaders were provided guidance through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in regards to temperatures in the school. I was a little bit vexed by some of the commentary in the community that they were completely shocked, number one, that this building didn't have air conditioning. I'm not quite sure how you wouldn't know that, seeing that $14 million was value engineered out of the project in an attempt to keep it under the 100.
So it was originally there, and then it was taken out?
It was. And in fact, I want to certainly...
Please excuse the interruption. It is now time to move to period C, third period on day 1. As a reminder, administration is available for any questions in the main office. Thank you.
All right.
Speaker system's working.
The
Go
speaker's
ahead.
working, that's good. A little bit of a fuzz there, we'll have to check that out. I am exceedingly grateful to both Representative Schmidt and Senator Rodrick for obtaining $150,000 last year that we used to air condition half of the Macumba School. And so we were able to rotate classes in the school classrooms that had the air conditioning. So there was a way of keeping everybody cool. At the West, we have no air conditioning, and I want to credit the staff for the unbelievable job they did and the care that they had in making sure that the kids were taken care of. There were certain areas of the building that were cooler, and we utilized them. I spent time at all 3 buildings for the past 2 days watching temperatures and checking on the students and the staff. So again, it really is a credit to the staff here at Westport Community Schools that our teachers, they care about the kids, and so we did that. There was also some pushback on the parking situation for the first day of school over at the West. I would like to remind people that this district had nothing to do with the development of the parking lot as part of the new building. And nonetheless, when we discovered that we were having difficulties, and part of the difficulties include trying to maximize time on learning for our young kids because they're really struggling with literacy issues. And when we had that problem on the first day of school, I called an emergency meeting. I want to thank Chief Pelletier and Captain Sergeant McCarthy. I also want to give a shout out to our school resource officers who met, and by the second day that problem was resolved. So I will also give credit to our entire administrative team, because in my 25 years or 23 years of administrative experience, I have yet to see an opening, especially at the middle high school, that went so smoothly in terms of students having their schedules, no confusion about what class they're going to. And so in spite of all the cacophony of hate that we have no control over on social media, and I would recommend that people do a little bit of reading on why we have such hate on social media. There's some excellent text out there, but for our purposes, this was actually a wildly successful opening of school for the Westport Community Schools. And I'm deeply proud not only of the staff, but also the students and the families who, reached out and said, hey, look, we get it, we understand, we live in Westport without our wells go, or, we know that the first day can be very challenging. And so I want to give a special thanks to them as well. They were exceptionally kind and cooperative in helping us move forward. So
Thank you. The Westport Community Schools bill warrant of 9/8/2023 for $102,911.37. I had questions myself, and I'd emailed Michelle. Is there any questions by any committee members? On the action agenda, we have to review and act on the minutes of Thursday, 8/24/2023. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Review and act on the updated district Chromebook policy. Are we ready? This came to the meeting the last time, and then I put it over to today because I think Mr. Aguirre addressed the committee wanting to see if it applied to the elementary school and that if any modifications needed to be made to that Chromebook policy given their age. And that's why we did not move on it in the action agenda. But having Mr. Aguirre having reviewed the policy, and he did not email anybody on the subcommittee, correct? Because you're on that subcommittee?
Correct.
So are we moving forward on that Chromebook policy tonight?
Did you hear anything?
Nothing.
Madam Chair, if I may, just to provide the community with, a little bit of background on this, when the district went to a one-to-one policy, students as young as kindergarten all the way up to 12 were provided a Chromebook, and they were actually responsible for bringing that home and then back to school. What we found, obviously, is that for the younger students, that wasn't particularly the best practice, in the sense that they had a more difficult time handling, the Chromebook. And so what we decided was that we would have the students up to grade 4, where the Chromebooks would be available to them, but situated in the school, so they wouldn't have to bring them back and forth. In light of that, I would ask the committee if you would be okay with tabling this until the next meeting.
Any objection to that?
No.
I'm good.
That matter is going to be tabled to the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks from today. Sharon, I'm sure you have the date of that meeting to put it in the minutes. Okay. Having routine matter correspondence and notices, having none, moving to topics the chair could not reasonably anticipate within 48 hours in advance, other than receiving emails from a lot of parents about the heat in the district and the schools being warm. I get that. I mean, this building didn't seem to be bad. I didn't have a lot of complaints out of this building. But in the Macumber seemed to be fine because of that air conditioning on that side where the sun comes up. But I know a lot of complaints came out of the west. And, from our perspective, this is not oversight of the school committee. We rely on the superintendent and their leadership teams to speak to the nurses, the Department of Health, or whatever they need to do to ensure that our kids are safe and keeping them in the schools. And I understand there was a certain temperature, which would have been the break point where we would have had to release the kids early. Those temperatures were taken throughout the day in all of the schools. I know that our athletes, the athletic director was out there with a thermometer with the trainer, and they moved games to later on in the day, so the temperatures were lower. They made sure the kids were hydrated. They made sure there were breaks during the games, all in accordance to MIAA rules. Yeah. So, we do everything that we can to make it possible. We try not to have days off. I mean, we already started the whole year with the well, and then everybody says, geez, we're pushing next to, July 4th, and we're still in school. So obviously, Farmer's Almanac says bad winter. I don't know. We try to get these kids in school and do the best that we can and follow all of the rules and the regulations to the best of our ability and make sure the kids are safe. And some parents made the choice not to put their kid in school. And none of us on the committee have a problem with that, and I don't think the administration at large does. Parents do have a choice, and if you think that every kid is different, maybe your child is sensitive to heat. I have one that is, I have one that isn't. And maybe that you need to keep that child home because it's safer for them and it's not good for them, or they get anxiety when they sweat. Whatever it is, you have to make those choices. And it was the beginning of the year, so the intent, where they are and beginning their lessons. If it had to happen at an opportune time, it happened now, and I'm sure it's over with, and we're not going to see it again for the rest of the year, and probably not next summer when we all can be on the beach. But that was an issue. And then the other issue, obviously, that we heard statements from tonight, and not to get into it, but this is an issue that there has been a statement by the superintendent saying this was not within the prescribed curriculum of the school. The school committee's oversight on that was the administration to take what they needed to do in their due diligence and investigation, and it becomes a personnel issue at that time. So I heard tonight that we were having a meeting here tonight because we knew that there was open house and we wanted to avoid people. And then if I canceled the meeting because of that there was the open house, then that was because we didn't want to come here because people were going to make comments and statements for the public. One thing I can tell you is that it's important to hear from people. Everybody has a different view. We might not all agree in our individual ways on things. And the country is divisive, and it's 50-50, 60-40, whatever it is. But we do have procedures and protocols that are within curriculum and what is introduced to our students, and there is oversight on that. And those are the things that need to be followed. So it's not necessarily a restriction on free speech or freedom to teach, or it has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the curriculum that's set forth in the district and the following of that curriculum and where did, whatever happened, because I don't know, because I'm not part of the investigation, neither does anybody on the committee, quite frankly. But to turn this into the divisive conversation that you see on social media, we have so many good things happening in the district, and it was just such a shame to see people fighting, because God, we have to fight for our budget. We have to fight for our teachers in this school because they want to cut $1 million from our budget. So if everybody on the right and the left of the aisle with this issue could come together and fight to keep our staff and the people in the school that make your kids safe and educate them, if we could do that, then we can do anything. So if we want to fight, I respectfully agree that everybody has your opinion and fight. But boy, look at the budget and watch what's going to happen. It's going to be significant this year. That is going to be a problem when you have classrooms of overcrowding and teachers teaching more students than they possibly can handle. Those are going to be things that are going to affect your children now and next year and the year after that. So if we can come together on one issue, that would be the issue, was we need to fight for our budget, we need to keep our staff, we need to supply this school with what we need to have as funding. I know that we're going to have a great report in October about, we've always heard, oh, the retention in Westport, we don't have it. Well, we're going to rock it, and we're going to show you how much we rocked it this year. And it's a lot more than we've had in the last 10 years. That's all good stuff coming into the district, bringing in Chapter 70 money so that we can educate these kids and have those resources. And we're going to have a battle on our hands with the town and FinCom to give that money to the district for bringing those very kids back to the school or bringing more children into this building, because we need to educate them and we need the funding to do it. So in closing, all I have to say is, respectfully, you have a right to your opinion, and I understand both sides. But for this, it's a personal issue. For us, the budget, come together for that, because we're going to be asking you, because we need you to make that happen. I have nothing further. Anybody? Anybody? All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.